The air in the Galactic Council chamber was thick with tension. It shimmered like heat over desert sand, though the room was cold, so cold that Ambassador Rian Voss could see his own breath curl in front of him. Around him, towering alien delegates sat in rings that spiraled upward into darkness. Some had eyes like molten glass. Others wore masks of polished bone, and a few didn't seem to have faces at all. They watched him, not with curiosity, but with judgment. Rian stood on the central dais, alone except for two others, Dr. Elira Morn, a quiet woman with sharp eyes and fingers that never stopped moving, and Captain Joran Hale, broad-shouldered and silent, his uniform worn but clean. They were the last human delegation allowed inside the Nexus, the heart of galactic governance, hidden deep in the Andromeda Arm, far from Earth's blue skies. Above them, suspended in a coil of living light, floated High Arbiter Vexthal. The being was long and serpentine, its scales shifting from violet to black as it spoke. Its voice did not come from a mouth, there was no mouth, but echoed inside their skulls like stone grinding against stone. Humanity, Vexthal intoned, has crossed the line of acceptable evolution. A ripple passed through the chamber. Holographic screens bloomed in the air, showing footage no human had ever seen broadcast publicly. There was the Qatari War Games, where a single Earth frigate, the Aurora Dawn, had outmaneuvered an entire squadron of Qatari dreadnoughts using tactics the aliens called illogical and impossible. Then came images of Earth's quantum mind network, solving equations that had stumped the galaxy's oldest civilizations for millennia in less than a second. And finally, grainy sensor logs from the Oort cloud, a human probe bending local spacetime, not with engines but with thought-driven resonance fields. The humans advance too fast, said a delegate from the Glimmer Concord, its voice like wind through crystal chimes. They do not follow the path of gradual ascension. They disrupt the balance, added another, a hulking creature from the Iron Maw Collective, its words clanging like metal on metal. Rian kept his hands at his sides. He didn't flinch. He had trained for this moment for 10 years. Not as a soldier, but as a diplomat who understood one truth. In a room full of gods, the smartest move is to act like you belong. We follow no path but our own, Rian said, his voice steady. And we disrupt nothing we did not first understand. Murmurs rose. Some angry, some uneasy. Vexthal's coils tightened. Your kind builds weapons disguised as science. You speak of peace while your neural networks map the weaknesses of every council fleet. You are not ready for the stars. We've been in the stars for 200 years, Rian replied, and we've never fired the first shot. A lie, but a useful one. Earth had fought defensively always, but the council didn't need to know that now. Just then, a sharp chime cut through the chamber. Every alien head turned. On the main display, a red alert pulsed, urgent, encrypted, marked with Earth's emergency sigil. Dr. Morn's fingers flew to her wrist console. Her face went pale. It's from Sol Station, she whispered, though everyone heard. Deep-range sensors. Something's coming. The hologram shifted. Stars vanished, replaced by a void. Black, absolute. Then shapes emerged. Thousands of them. Ships unlike anything in known records. No lights, no emissions. No communication. Just smooth, obsidian hulls gliding through space like knives through smoke. They moved in perfect silence, heading straight for the Sol system. The chamber erupted. Impossible, cried a delegate from the verdant spheres. No fleet moves without signature. The silent ones, breathed another, voice trembling. The old texts? They warned of this. Vexthal's scales turned pitch black. For the first time, fear flickered in its ancient eyes. It turned fully toward Rian, not with accusation now, but with something close to dread. You do not understand what approach is, Vexthal said, voice low, urgent. They do not conquer. They erase. Memory, biology, history, gone. As if never existed, Rian's mind raced. Who were these ships? Why were they coming to Earth? And why did the council suddenly look guilty? Before he could speak, Vexthal leaned closer, its voice dropping to a whisper only the humans could hear through their neural implants. Flee. The word hung in the air like a blade. You have 7 solar cycles. Vexthal continued. 7 days by your reckoning. After that, Sol will be silent, and we cannot stop them, Rian stared. This wasn't judgment. This was a death sentence wrapped in mercy. But why warn us? he asked. If you fear them so much, why not let us burn unnoticed? Vexthul hesitated. A long, terrible pause. Then softly, because you are the only ones who ever made them hesitate. The chamber fell silent. Even the ambient hum of the Nexus seemed to stop. On the display, the Black Fleet was now passing the orbit of Neptune, moving faster than physics allowed. Unstoppable. Captain Hale stepped forward, hand resting on the hilt of his sidearm, not to draw it, but to remind them. Humans do not go quietly. What do they want? Hale asked. Vexthul did not answer. Instead, it turned to the council. This session is concluded. The matter of humanity is no longer ours to judge. Delegates began to rise, some vanishing in flashes of light, others retreating into shadowy portals. Within moments, the grand chamber was nearly empty, the towering rings darkening one by one. Only the humans remained on the dais, bathed in the cold glow of the warning still flashing on the screen. Dr. Morn pulled up Earth's defense grid on her console. We have 6 days, 17 hours, she said. If we start evacuations now, maybe 10% of the population can escape. 10%? Hale growled. That's billions left behind. We don't even know if evacuation works, Ryan said, staring at the image of the Black Fleet. What if they follow the ships? What if they hunt us across the galaxy? No one had an answer. Back on the human shuttle as it sped toward the nearest jump gate, Ryan watched Earth's star flicker in the viewport. He replayed Vexthul's final words in his mind. You are the only ones who ever made them hesitate. Why? What had humanity done unknowingly that frightened beings capable of erasing worlds? Then it hit him. The neural experiments, the resonance fields, the strange dreams shared by deep space pilots, dreams of singing stars and broken gates. Earth hadn't just been advancing. It had been remembering, and someone or something didn't want that memory to return. The shuttle jumped to FTL, space stretched, time bent. But Ryan's thoughts stayed fixed on one truth. The Council hadn't betrayed humanity out of malice. They'd betrayed them out of terror, and now Earth had 7 days to prove that terror was misplaced, or become another ghost in the dark. Earth was breaking apart, not the ground or the sky, but the people. In the 7 days since the warning from the Galactic Council, cities had turned into chaos. Some believed the message was real. Others called it a trick, a way for the aliens to scare humanity into giving up its independence. Governments argued. Militaries prepared. Families packed bags they knew would never hold enough. In Geneva, inside the emergency bunker beneath the United Earth Coalition headquarters, Ryan Voss stood before a wall of live feeds. One showed riots in Mumbai. Another showed mass evacuations in Buenos Aires. A third showed the Pacific Fleet forming a defensive ring around the moon. He hadn't slept in 30 hours. His eyes were red, but his voice was calm. They're not coming to talk, he said to the room full of leaders. They're coming to erase us. And the council knew. General Marakel, head of Earth Defense, crossed her arms. Then we fight. We've got new drives, new shields. We're not the same species we were 50 years ago. We're not ready, Dr. Elira Morn said from the corner, her voice quiet but firm. She held a data pad showing strange energy readings from Mars. The enemy doesn't use weapons, we understand. They don't fire beams or launch missiles. They just silence things. Ships go dark. Signals vanish. Even time seems to stop near them. Captain Joran Hale entered the room, his uniform torn at the shoulder. I just came from Luna Station. We ran a test. Sent a drone toward where the fleet will enter the system. It didn't explode. It just stopped existing. No debris, no signal. Like it was never built. A heavy silence fell. Ryan turned to the main screen. We need answers. Not just about the fleet, but about why the Council warned us.
Why us? Why now?
That night, while the world panicked above, a small team launched from a hidden dock in the asteroid belt. Their ship, the Whisper, was old but fast, built for stealth, not war. On board were Hale, Morn, and 2 tech specialists. Their mission: reach the abandoned Council listening post near Neptune, Station K9, and recover its logs. If anyone knew the truth about the Black Fleet, it would be there. The journey took 3 days. By then, the enemy was past Jupiter. Earth's outer colonies had gone silent one by one. Station K9 floated in the icy dark, half buried in frozen methane. Its lights were dead. No response to Hale's. Hale suited up and stepped onto the hull, cutting through the airlock with a plasma torch. Inside, the station was cold and empty, except for the hum of a backup core still running deep in the walls. Morn jacked into the main terminal. Data flooded her screen. Years of encrypted transmissions between the Council and unknown sources. Most were corrupted, but one file stood out. Labeled Project Echo. She played it. The video showed Vexthal, not in the judgment chamber, but in a private chamber deep within the Nexus. He spoke to figures cloaked in shifting shadows. Tall, thin, their edges blurred as if reality refused to hold them. They did not speak. But Vexthal bowed his head. "We have contained the anomaly," he said. "The humans grow too close to the first code. We will isolate them. If they resist, you may act." Morn's hand shook. "They didn't just warn us," she whispered. "They invited them." Hale cursed under his breath. "The Council set us up. They wanted the fleet to come, but why?" Morn dug deeper. Buried in the station's geological logs was something stranger. Years ago, a Council survey team had drilled into the ice caps of Mars. They found ruins older than human civilization, older than the Council itself. The ruins had symbols, and those symbols matched patterns in human DNA. She sent the data back to Earth instantly. On Mars, in a sealed lab beneath Olympus Mons, scientists had been studying those same ruins for decades. Now with Morn's new data, they re-examined the carvings. Dr. Lin, the lead archaeologist, noticed something no one had seen before. The symbols weren't writing. They were musical notes, not for instruments, but for frequencies. When played through a quantum resonator, the notes caused the lab's water to vibrate in perfect geometric shapes. The air shimmered. For 3 seconds, the walls seemed to breathe. Back on Earth, Ryan received the report. He remembered something his grandmother used to say. "The stars sing, child. You just have to learn how to listen." He called Morn. "Can you replicate it on a larger scale?" "We'd need the resonance array," she said. "It's buried under the Himalayas, built from plans found in ancient human texts no one understood until now. The array was never a weapon," Ryan realized. "It's a key." While Earth's leaders debated whether to activate it, Hale made another discovery aboard the Whisper. The Black Fleet wasn't just approaching randomly. Their path traced a perfect spiral toward Earth's core, not the surface but the planet's magnetic heart. As if they were drawn to something inside, and then a new alert. From Sol Station's last functioning sensor, the fleet had slowed. Not stopped, but slowed, just past the asteroid belt, like they'd hit an invisible wall. Morn checked Earth's natural frequencies. "The planet's core is emitting a low hum," she said, stunned. "It started the moment we played the Martian notes in the lab." "Earth is responding," Ryan gathered the Coalition Council again. "We're not just humans," he told them. "We're descendants of something older. The Council fears us because we remember what they forgot." But time was running out. The fleet would reach Earth in less than 2 days. That night, Ryan gave the order. Activate the resonance array. Deep beneath the snows of Tibet, massive stone rings hidden for 10,000 years began to turn. Crystals glowed. Energy pulsed through ancient conduits. And from the heart of the planet a sound rose. Not loud, not violent, just a single pure tone that spread through rock, ocean, and sky. Across the solar system, human ships equipped with experimental harmonic drives flickered and vanished from enemy sensors. On Mars, the ruins lit up like stars, and near Jupiter, the Black Fleet hesitated. For the first time in recorded history, the Silent Ones stopped moving. In Geneva, Ryan watched the sensor readouts. His hands were steady now, his eyes clear. "They're not afraid of our weapons," he said softly. "They're afraid of our song." But the array wasn't complete. It needed more power, and someone had to stay behind to guide it, to become its voice. Ryan looked at the faces around him. He knew what came next. The world still argued. The skies still darkened. But deep below the mountains, Earth began to sing, and humanity for the first time understood the words. The song began deep in the earth, not a sound anyone could hear with ears, but a vibration that moved through stone, water, and bone. In the Himalayan vault, the resonance array hummed like a living thing. Its ring spun slowly, glowing with soft blue light. Ryan Voss stood at its center, hands resting on a smooth stone console. His mind was linked to the machine, not by wires but by something older, something written into human cells long before cities or stars had names. Above ground, the world held its breath. The Black Fleet had stopped just beyond the orbit of Mars. Their ships floated in perfect silence, unmoving as if confused. Earth's sensors showed no weapons charging, no shields rising. Just stillness. A strange peace before the storm. But peace would not last. Dr. Elira Morn stood in the control room above the vault, watching data streams scroll across every screen. "The array is working," she said, voice tight with awe. "It's syncing with the planet's core. The frequency matches the Martian ruins exactly." Captain Joran Hale paced near the door, arms crossed. He didn't understand the science, but he saw the results. Human scout ships near Saturn had vanished from enemy tracking the moment the array activated. Not cloaked, gone as if they'd stepped between seconds. "So we can hide," he said. "But hiding won't save us forever." "No," Ryan's voice came through the comm, calm and clear. "But remembering might." Morn pulled up a new file. Ancient texts from every human culture. Sumerian tablets, Aboriginal songlines, Vedic hymns, all spoke of a first sound that shaped the world. Scholars had called it myth. Now it was real, and humans were the only ones who still carried its echo in their blood. The truth settled over them like dawn. Humanity wasn't just another species climbing the galactic ladder. They were heirs to the architects, the beings who built the first stars, who sang matter into being. The Council had forgotten. The Silent Ones had rebelled. But Earth remembered, and the enemy knew it. Suddenly, alarms blared. On the main screen, the Black Fleet stirred. Not all at once, but in waves, like a sleeping beast twitching in a dream. One ship broke formation, drifting toward the asteroid belt. Then another. They weren't attacking. They were searching. For what? Hale asked. For the source, Morn whispered. They feel the song, and they want to silence it at the root. Ryan's voice came again. We can't let them reach Earth's core. If they disrupt the array, the song stops. And if the song stops, we lose everything. A plan formed quickly. Earth couldn't fight the fleet head-on, but it could mislead. Project Exodus wasn't just about saving people. It was about spreading the song. Every evacuation arc carried a small harmonic node, a piece of the array's design. Once launched, they would form a network across the galaxy. If Earth fell, the song would live on. But first, they needed time. Hale volunteered to lead a decoy mission. A small fleet, just 5 ships, would fly toward the Kuiper Belt, broadcasting a fake signal. Earth abandoned. Population evacuated. Core offline. It was a lie, but a necessary one. If the Silent Ones believed Earth was empty, they might pass it by. Morn objected. It's suicide. They'll tear your ships apart. Maybe, Hale said. But if they chase us, they're not chasing Earth. Ryan agreed. Go and make it loud. The decoy fleet launched at dawn. Hale's ship, the Iron Sparrow, led the group. As they crossed Neptune's orbit, they activated every transmitter, every beacon, every old Earth broadcast they could find, music, speeches, children's laughter, flooding space with the sound of humanity. Then they sent the final message. Sol is empty. No life remains. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like shadows drawn to flame, the Black Fleet turned. Hundreds of ships peeled away from the main group, accelerating toward the decoys, faster than light, silent as death. Back on Earth, Morn watched the sensor logs with dread. They took the bait. But not all of them, Ryan said, eyes on the screen. A smaller group, darker, sleeker, still held position near Mars. They're smarter. They don't believe the lie. The real threat remained. Deep in the vault, Ryan increased the array's output. The stone walls trembled. Cracks of light spread across the floor. His nose bled, but he didn't stop. The song needed a conductor, a mind to shape its flow, and he was the only one who could hear it clearly. Morn rushed down to join him. You're pushing too hard. Your brain can't handle this much resonance. I don't have a choice, he said, voice strained. If the array fails, the arcs won't activate. The song dies with us. Above, the sky darkened. Not from clouds, but from the approaching ships. The remaining Silent Ones had entered Earth's orbit. They circled like vultures, scanning, probing. Then one fired. Not a weapon, but a pulse. A wave of anti-frequency that hit the upper atmosphere like a stone in still water. The sky rippled. Birds fell from the air. Power grids flickered. And for 3 seconds, the array stuttered. Ryan cried out, clutching his head. Blood ran from his ears. Morn grabbed the console. "We're losing sync!" But then something unexpected happened. The oceans answered. Deep underwater, ancient vents, long thought dormant, erupted with superheated steam that carried the same frequency as the array. The planet itself was fighting back. The array stabilized. On the screens, the silent ones recoiled. Their ships shuddered, hulls cracking like glass under pressure. They hadn't expected Earth to sing back. In that moment, the first wave of arcs launched. Thousands of ships carrying millions of people shot into the sky. Each carried a seed of the song. Each was a promise. Rian smiled through the pain. "They think they came to erase us," he said. "But we're not just people. We're memory, and memory doesn't die." High above, the black ships regrouped. They would try again, harder, smarter. But Earth was no longer silent, and the song was only beginning. The arcs rose like silver seeds into the night sky, each one carrying a piece of Earth, its people, its stories, its song. Below, the planet trembled, not from fear but from power. The resonance array pulsed stronger with every passing hour, its hum now woven into the wind, the rivers, even the beating of human hearts. But time was running out. The silent ones had learned. They would not be fooled again. Captain Joran Hale's decoy fleet was gone. Not destroyed, erased. One moment, their signals filled the comms with static and laughter. The next, silence. No wreckage. No distress calls. Just empty space where 5 brave ships had been. Back on Earth, no one mourned aloud. There was no time. Grief was a luxury for survivors, and no one knew yet if they would live to feel it. In the Himalayan vault, Ryan Voss stood at the heart of the array, his body thin, his eyes bright with something beyond exhaustion. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. Sleep was impossible. The song filled his mind, louder than thought, deeper than breath. Dr. Elira Morn watched him from the edge of the chamber, her hands clenched. She knew the truth no one else would say. The array needed more than power. It needed a life. "The nodes on the arcs are ready," she said, voice low. "But they won't activate unless the core signal is stable. And it won't be, unless someone stays." Rian didn't look at her. "I know. You can't," she said, stepping closer. "There has to be another way." "There isn't." He finally turned. His face was pale but calm. "The array isn't just a machine. It's a bridge. And bridges need someone to hold both ends. I stay. The arcs go. The song spreads." Above ground, the final evacuations were underway. Cities emptied. Farms fell silent. Oceans lapped against abandoned shores. Yet Earth did not feel dead. It felt awake. In Tokyo, a child left a music box on a windowsill. It played a lullaby that matched the array's frequency. In Cairo, an old man whispered a prayer in a language no one spoke anymore, and the sand beneath his feet glowed faintly blue. The planet was remembering itself through its people. The silent ones circled lower. Their ships no longer fired pulses. They waited, watching, learning. They knew the song came from the core, and they would tear the world apart to silence it. General Mara Kell arrived at the vault entrance, her uniform scorched, her face grim. "Last transport leaves in 6 hours, she told Morn. "You're on it." Morn shook her head. "I stay with him. You can't help him by dying here. I can help by understanding what he's doing. If the arcs need to adjust their nodes, I'll be the only one who knows how." Kell studied her, then nodded. "Then make it count," she turned to Ryan. "You've given us a chance. Don't waste it by thinking you're alone." Ryan smiled faintly. "I'm not alone. I'm part of Earth now." As the hours passed, the final arcs launched. Not in waves, but in silence. No engines roaring, no fire in the sky. The harmonic drives carried them away on folds of sound, invisible to enemy sensors. Each arc held a node, a small crystal tuned to Earth's frequency. When activated together across the stars, they would form a web of song strong enough to hold back the darkness. But first, Earth had to sing one last time. Deep in the vault, Ryan placed his hands on the central stone. The array responded instantly. Light surged through the tunnels, up the mountains, into the sky. The air above the Himalayas shimmered like heat, then turned gold. Birds that had fled returned, circling the peak in perfect spirals. Even the wind seemed to pause and listen. Morn monitored the readings. "The core is syncing with the magnetosphere. You're turning the whole planet into a transmitter. Yes, Ryan whispered, not to fight them. To remind them. Remind them of what? That they were made to serve life, not destroy it. Far above, the Silent Ones reacted. Their ships twitched. Hulls rippled like water. For the first time, they showed something like pain. The song wasn't attacking them, it was calling them home. And they didn't want to remember. They struck, not with weapons, but with silence. A wave of null energy rolled toward Earth, swallowing light, sound, even time. As it hit the atmosphere, clouds froze. Rain hung in midair. Clocks stopped. The array flickered. Ryan screamed. Blood poured from his nose, his ears, his eyes. But he didn't let go. He pushed harder, pouring his will into the stone. Remember, he cried, not with his voice, but with his soul. Remember what you were? And Earth answered. Mountains groaned. Oceans rose in slow, graceful arcs. The planet's magnetic field flared like a living shield, turning the null wave aside. The array blazed brighter than the sun. In orbit, the Silent Ones recoiled. Some ships shattered into dust. Others fled. But a few remained, hovering, trembling as if caught between orders and memory. Morn grabbed Ryan's arm. It's working. But you can't keep this up. I don't have to, he gasped. The song is in the planet now. It doesn't need me anymore. He was wrong. The array needed a spark to ignite the final phase, the moment when Earth would shift, not just in space, but in reality itself, to become something new, something safe, and that spark had to be human. Ryan looked at Morn. Get to the last arc. Tell them to keep singing. Before she could argue, the ground shook. The vault entrance collapsed. Dust filled the air. When it cleared, Morn was gone, pulled to safety by Kel's team through a hidden tunnel. Ryan was alone. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and let go not of the array but of himself. His body glowed, then dissolved into light, flowing into the stone, into the earth, into the song. Above, the sky split open. Not with fire, but with golden light. Earth began to change. Forests turned crystalline. Rivers flowed upward. The planet phased, not vanishing, but stepping sideways, into a layer of reality the Silent Ones could not touch. The last arc jumped to FTL just as the shift completed, on board. Morn watched Earth fade from sensors, not disappear but transform. She placed a hand on the node in the ship's core. It hummed warmly, alive with Ryan's voice. Earth's voice, the first song. And far behind, in a sky no longer of this universe, the Silent Ones floated in confusion. The warning had been given, but humanity had not fled. They had awakened. The Black Fleet hung in the void where Earth used to be, not destroyed, not empty, just gone. In its place floated a world of light, golden spires rising from oceans of liquid silver, mountains humming with soft blue energy, skies swirling with colors no human eye had ever named. The Silent Ones circled it, confused. Their sensors found no life signs, no weapons, no signals, only song. A single endless note that made their hulls ache and their ancient programming flicker like dying stars. They had come to erase, but they found something that could not be unmade. Light years away, aboard the Ark New Dawn, Dr. Elira Morn stood before the harmonic node in the ship's core chamber. The crystal pulsed gently, warm to the touch. It carried Ryan's voice, not his memory, but his presence. When she closed her eyes, she could hear him whispering through the hum. Tell them. Humanity has returned. She opened a channel to every ark in the Exodus fleet. Thousands of ships scattered across uncharted space, carrying the last of Earth's people. Her voice was quiet but clear. The Council warned us to flee, she said, but we didn't run. We remembered. And Earth remembered with us. On every screen, the image of the transformed planet glowed. No one spoke. No one needed to. They all felt it. The shift in the universe, the weight lifting, the fear turning into something like hope. But hope was not enough. Morn turned to General Mara Kell, who stood nearby, arms crossed, eyes red from lack of sleep. The arcs are safe for now, but the galaxy doesn't know what happened. The Council thinks we're gone. The Silent Ones are still out there. And if we hide, we become ghosts. Kell nodded slowly. So we don't hide. No, Morn said. We speak. She activated the fleet-wide broadcast system, not just to the arcs, but outward into the void, using the full power of the harmonic network. Every node sang at once. The signal wasn't words or images. It was pure resonance, the first song, amplified across star systems. It passed through dust clouds, through alien cities, through the walls of the Galactic Council's nexus. And it woke something up. On 1,000 worlds, dormant ruins lit up. Ancient gates buried under sand or ice began to hum. Species that had forgotten their origins felt a strange pull in their blood. Even the Council felt it. In their shattered chamber, the delegates froze. Vexthul, coiled in shadow, lifted his head. His scales shimmered with tears of light. They didn't flee, he whispered. They became. Back on the new dawn, Captain Joran Hale's name appeared on the comm roster. He was gone, but his final log had been recovered from a data buoy near Neptune. In it, his voice was calm, almost peaceful. If you're hearing this, we bought you time. Don't waste it hiding. Go back, not to fight. To remind them who we are. Morn made her decision. She ordered the fleet to regroup, not at a safe harbor, but at the edge of Council space. One ship would go further. The New Dawn itself. It would carry a message, not in words, but in truth. 3 weeks later, the ship dropped out of FTL near the Council's homeworld. No weapons charged, no shields raised. Just a single human vessel, small and silver, floating in the middle of a heavily guarded system. Alarms blared across the nexus. Warships powered up. But no one fired. They remembered the warning. They remembered the fleet that came for Earth and vanished. Morn stepped onto the observation deck. She opened a universal channel. This is Dr. Elira Morn of Earth, she said. We are not your enemies. We never were. You feared what you did not understand. But the truth is simple. We are the children of the architects. And the architects did not build to rule. They built to remember. She sent the data, the Martian ruins, the DNA patterns, the recordings of Earth's final transformation. She showed them the song not as weapon, but as gift. For 3 days, silence. Then, Vexthul himself appeared on the comm. His voice was softer now, stripped of judgment. You have done what we could not, he said. You faced the silence, and answered with song. Morn didn't smile. We didn't do it alone. Earth did, humanity did, and we're not finished. She turned the New Dawn toward the outer rim, where the last of the Silent Ones still drifted, lost and broken. The Arcs followed not as soldiers but as healers. Where they passed, the black ships did not attack. They stilled. Some even aligned with the song, their dark hulls glowing faintly gold. The galaxy watched. On forgotten worlds, humans began to land, not to conquer, but to listen. They found ruins that sang back. They met species who remembered fragments of the old stories. Slowly a new network formed, not of laws or treaties, but of resonance, of shared memory. Years passed. The Council dissolved not in war but in awe. In its place rose the chorus, a gathering of all who could hear the song. Humans sat among them not as outsiders but as guides. And Earth? Earth remained in its new place, a world between worlds visible only to those who listened with their hearts. Pilgrims came from across the stars, not to take but to learn. They stood on its singing shores and felt the truth, that life was not meant to be controlled but expressed. One evening, on a green hill overlooking a crystal sea, a child, born on an ark, never having seen old Earth, placed her hand on the ground. The stone hummed beneath her fingers. She closed her eyes and sang a single note. From deep below, the planet answered. Far away, in the quiet dark, the last of the Silent Ones folded their wings and fell still, not dead, but at peace. The song had reached them too, and in the center of it all, humanity did not rule. They remembered. They shared. They sang. Because the final warning had never been about running. It had been about waking up. And now, the whole galaxy was listening.